Welcome to Nuanced Beauty. This podcast is intended to be a spot where my husband Bill and I will capture some complex thoughts and challenge us to hold to our opinions loosely so that we can see the beauty in others and the beauty in ourselves. I want to challenge us to dive deeper into those everyday topics and those sticky topics that we might shy away from, or we might bulldoze over others with our opinions. Because I think there's wisdom in this idea that if we all thought exactly the same, there would be no need for anyone else. So let's have a conversation and let's get nuanced.
All right, nuanced people, welcome to another coffee chat where Christina and I are talking about something over coffee and think, man, we should be recording this because we just think so highly of our thoughts on things.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. So I recently got an Instagram again. I had an Instagram for a while. I realized I was scrolling through Reels way too much, and so I got rid of it.
Yep.
But then I also realized that I had no idea what's happening in my garden because I was using it as a gardening blog. So I got it back, and hey, guess what I'm doing on a Sunday morning while my kids are, trying to get my attention? I'm scrolling through Reels, but hey, I found one that was really interesting.
And if you're curious about our gardening endeavors, you're welcome to look up H.O. Acres.
H.O. Acres, gardening under the ever-present glare of the HOA. So,
which, speaking of, we got a note about our garbages being visible. We have these privacy bushes along the side of the house, but they're not private enough, and you can see our garbages now.
We have a "Don't Tread on Me" flag on the way. I'm going to just hang that in front of the garbages so they can't see the garbages.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. But continue.
So, I stumbled upon a reel, and I sent it to Christina. That's a sketch of a man and a wife about to go out to dinner. And the man's like, okay, reservation's at 7, so let's leave here at 6:30. It's 5:30 now. Are you going to be ready in time? She says, yeah, of course. And then it goes through all the stages of increasing stress as he tries to figure out if she is going to make it on time. And of course she doesn't. And he's more and more stressed as he's sitting in the car trying to not honk at the horn. She comes out about 15 minutes late, and they move on. They move on with the date. And this is just a trope. It's one of those like husband and wife tropes that I keep hearing in couples counseling or keep hearing in church circles that I don't really relate to because of who I'm married to. But as I'm watching this, I had the thought of why is he so stressed? And what kind of bubbled up is this idea that by being late, he is breaking his promise to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the root of that stress. It's like, I have given my word and I am about to break that word.
And my word is like the most significant component of me in a way, or maybe not the most, but it's up there as a high. It's
definitely one of the central pillars of masculinity, I think. And that's
keeping your word.
Yeah. Well, I think, and
being trustworthy.
I don't want to be exclusive about that. I think it's just one of the very few things men can contribute. Is honoring their word.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of all we got because we can't bear children, right?
Uh-huh.
So all I can do is have a commitment to be there.
And potentially in the traditional sense, being a provider and in the workforce.
Yeah, like if you get all paleo about it, like we as a community have to look at each other in the eye and say, I'm going to show up to defend the border, or I'm going to show up to do a good day's work because that's how we're all going to eat.
Yeah.
And so there's I think an intrinsic sense of importance rested on the word that you give, because if you lose that, you've lost everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Chappelle had a good bit about this, not about this, but about something similar. He was talking about how prior to the internet, divorce was super easy. All you have to do is go out for a pack of cigarettes, go 11 miles down the road and start a whole new life because no one could find you.
Yeah.
So for all of you in history, it was actually very easy for a man to do that. And everyone knew that it was very easy for a man to do that. So the fact that he keeps his word was significant.
Uh-huh.
And so that now plays out in today's day with Instagram reels of men just being like, yeah, bitches be late for dinner, right?
And I'm so stressed because she's late because I value being on time so much.
But we don't talk about what's underlying. It's
just the reaction.
I think it's a Suzanne Stabileism of it's not really about the thing that it's about.
Uh-huh.
And it's not about the being late for dinner. It's about what being late represents.
Means to them. Yeah. And likewise, I think that totally plays into, so what does it mean for the gal getting ready? And like you said earlier, like this is where AKA, like not AKA, complexity, nuance, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't really apply for us because I don't spend a crazy amount of time getting ready. But
well, you look in the mirror and you're like, this can't
I look good. Better. I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah.
Or if I don't look good, I'm okay not looking good. But
I'm still gonna be drilling over you anyway.
Yes. But like from a feminine perspective, appearance is higher up on the value list because I need to appear a certain way. I need to be put together. And my appearance is the snap judgment that people are going to have when they see me. And so I'm going to be perceived a certain way. And so appearance is what's under the, under the surface of this Instagram reel tension of he needs to be on time and she's running late because potentially for her, I need to be put together. So I'm going to prop up this value of getting myself dressed and looking professional or looking the part of whatever the event is. And so that being on time it becomes secondary. Like when you're looking at the clock and you're like, oh, it's 7 p.m. and we were supposed to be out the door at 7 p.m. Oh, well, I only need 5 more minutes to finish so that my hair or my makeup or
you'll be
whatever,
judged way worse if you only have one of your eyes made up and not the other than you would be for being 5 minutes late.
5 minutes late. So
I personally think that'd be a great talking point.
So my judgment call is to go ahead and be 5 minutes late and be put together than be on time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I didn't think of that. Again, because I'm married to you, and you have not the same incentives.
Value system.
Yeah. In general.
And that's not, again,
I thought of it, again, thinking about it more in the childbearing sense. We're neck deep in parenting right now is, women, because they have children and because they're often the primary caregivers, they have to hold on loosely to the idea of being exactly on time. Because you know who's terrible at being on time, regardless of incentives? Kids. And starting from birth all the way through their life until they become grown-ups and they have their own value systems. We can't blame them being kids.
Yeah, and they don't have a sense of time the way we have a sense of time.
They have no sense of time. But even to when they're born, like there's no such thing as a due date. It's like a 6-week window, right?
Yeah.
And you need to,
but yeah.
It's 4. It's 2 weeks plus or minus.
2 weeks plus or minus, yeah.
My point, though, is that you have to
accommodate acknowledge that timing isn't everything.
That timing isn't everything. Like you have to prioritize your life differently in order to survive it.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Like there's some patience or there's some time leniency that goes into taking care of kids. And if you do try and overly elevate the timing to be the most important thing, it's going to make for chaos with your children. Like you're going to be a brute at parenting, or you're going to be just entirely too elevated when people fail to be on time because parenting ain't like that.
Yeah. And because you're the primary caregiver, you have to accommodate that. Men have the luxury of being on time, you could say.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to pass these kids on to you because I got to be on time for work.
That's clever. Yeah.
So I could make it, and I could make it a greater than or less than statement, but it's neither of which true. Where like, oh, it's because it's more important for men to be honest than it is for women. That's not true. What's true is I have the luxury of having that kind of line in the sand because I get to pass my kids off to you and go be an adult.
Or like the idea of it's more important that women look good and men don't have to look good because that's a faulty. That again, that's just. I'm
not going to say that's faulty at all. That's super true.
Oh, I hear you, but aren't you like, as a guy though, this takes us off tangent, so I won't go too far, but you do get annoyed when people act like women have such high standards and you see a Men's Health magazine that shows men looking good.
That's true. Good. Like there's a great meme.
There's like this elevation of appearance for females, but it's not the same elevation for men, but at the same time, you are pressured.
Yeah. There's a great meme on this where it's, it has a picture of Barbie and it says, For years, Barbie has been held up as this unrealistic standard for women and girls, and it's terrible. Also, here's He-Man. You know?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But there was someone did a social experiment about this. A news anchor did this. It was a man and woman local news team, and the man wore the exact same suit for like 2 months, and nobody said
yeah,
it.
Nobody thought anything of it.
But
yeah.
the female anchor gets emails from all the time.
If her appearance isn't quite right.
Or she, God forbid, wore the same dress. This happened to Kate Middleton, where she wore the same dress twice. It was all over the news.
Oh my gosh. It came up in the Katie Couric book. There, where she talked about like she couldn't she wore Gap, but she couldn't be the motherly one because somebody else was filling the kind of homey motherly look or something. And so they had these particular appearances that they had to keep. But regardless, go back to the being on time. We'll wrap this up.
Regardless of being on time, I was just, as I'm hearing these tropes, and I just bristle against a lot of these low-hanging jokes, and in part because we hang out in church circles, and churchy circles are not that funny, and they really try, but they kind of go to the same well of like, we all like to eat, right? Food's good, and also like women are never on time. You know what I'm right? You know what I'm saying, fellas? It's not really that funny, and there's also something a lot deeper happening that I think is much more interesting to talk about than
just the surface level,
than the trope.
Quick laugh.
Yeah, the quick and shallow laugh.
All right. Well,
all right, our perennially on time son is being very patient while I finish wrapping this up. And
we've got places to go, so we are going to be on time to our next appointment. Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and in the spirit of nuance, I hope you found something that you could agree with and disagree with and still choose to lean in. If you're liking the show, please follow us and share it with friends and leave a rating and review. Until next time.